Sacramento making a major move last night, acquiring Harrison Barnes. Now, much of the focus has been on the, yes, say it with me, the dramatic circumstances of Barnes being traded mid-game. Nothing the Kings do is simple. He does bring championship experience, nearly 18 points a game to the Kings. So we got a new star in Sacramento, a new hero for our saga. Ramona, is he going to the Kings, something, nothing, or everything?
I think that's something. I'm not going to say it's everything yet because they're not in the playoffs. They still have to pass up the Clippers. But one, if they make the playoffs, their draft pick doesn't necessarily go out, right? And I think what this signals to...
What's the protection on the Kings draft pick that's supposed to go to Boston?
If they make the playoffs and
they keep it?
Yeah, they keep. And I think what is interesting with this is it signals to your players like we're going for it. And it's been a long time that the Kings have been in this since the Kings have been in this position. And it's been a long time for that city. It's been a long time for their players. But it's also a signal to the young guys, like we're getting a guy with championship experience to come here and be a leader on this team going forward.
I think he's a terrific player. I had the opportunity to coach him with Team USA. This guy is very talented. He's going to add a lot to this team. He can score so many different ways. You can post him up. He's catch and shoot. He's isolation. But he fits their team perfectly. And this team has really grown a lot. They're a very tough team. They had a tough game last night, but at home, they're terrific. And this puts them in a very good position.
Paul, do you worry about chemistry at all? Because the reporters who were at the Kings game last night talked about how emotional the locker room was. This is a team that's kind of been scrappy and done more than people expected this season and felt like they were this band of brothers together. And they are bringing in a really quality player in Harrison Barnes, who I think sometimes suffers from the comparison. No, he's not Kevin Durant, but very few players are Kevin Durant. Do you think the chemistry, you talked earlier in the show about sort of feeling a funeral sometimes when guys are being traded away. How do the Kings regroup from this?
Well, I just think that they're bringing in a very good player and a high character guy and somebody they can look to for leadership. I mean, Barnes, he's been on a championship team. He's a young but one of the older players there that these guys can look up to and kind of follow his lead. So I think chemistry will not be a problem. Of course, you got to learn the offense, the defensive system, but I think that's going to come, within a few weeks of him being there because I think he fits into everything they try to do. He doesn't need the ball. He can be a catch-and-shoot guy. You can isolate him here and there. He's not a high-volume usage player. So, this is a great move for them, and I think chemistry will not be an issue. And this is everything for them because they're making a playoff push, and I think the Clippers have punted by trading their best player. So they're going to fall out of the playoff picture. And, what's going on with the Lakers, they don't make a trade, then that locker room seems pretty demoralized. So I see this move pushing the Kings into the playoffs.
Yeah, and Director Tommy, if you can put those standings up again, because, Tibbs, your Wolves are right in there, too. If you had to make a prediction, how do you think these last few playoff bursts are going to go? As Paul said, the Clippers just traded away their leading scorer. They get to keep their pick if they are not in the playoff race, so you got to think that they're going to want to fall out of that. Tibbs, how do you see these last three spots going for the West?
It's pretty tight. The Mavs are coming on pretty strong. I think what you're going to have to look at here is the remaining schedule. What does your schedule look like? Who are the home games? Who are the road? In the West, it's tough. When you 1 through 14, all 14 teams are very strong at home. And so it's hard to get road wins. And then who's healthy? If you have injuries, that could impact it also. I think the Lakers, with LeBron healthy, you saw what I think they were 20-14 or something like that, and they were a 4 seed when he was playing. So they're still very dangerous, and if the Wolves are healthy, they're going to be right in there as well.
Now, LeBron criticizing the idea of trading players mid-game, a lengthy Instagram post. Earlier today, he followed up on his feelings there, so he can just speak for himself. Take a listen.
Teams have to do what's best for their franchise to set them up for the near future or for the present. But at the same time, players have that ability to do as well. And if a player asks to be traded because he feel like it's for the better of his profession, for the better of his career, or if a player decides he's a free agent and he wants to leave, then that should be the same conversation. That should be the same narrative, and not that this guy or this kid or whatever the case may be is selfish or ungrateful or, he didn't appreciate where he was from or appreciate what he got. I think you do what's best for your franchise. You do what's best for your career.
Now, I got to add to this that Paul Pierce who earlier in this show was defending the reporters that KD was yelling about in his post-game press conference last night, and I figured out why. He was a reporter last night. He got on NBA Countdown. You were sitting there, and he's like, oh, wait, I have new information on this. I spoke to Harrison Barnes' agent. I loved it. It was like Reporter Paul, and he said that Harrison was actually apprised before the game that, hey, you could be traded. We had 2 hot offers going on. This could happen in the next couple hours, and that Harrison came forward and said, I still want to play. You're shaking your head. Why?
I got some people in the
Reporter Tracy!
In the Mavericks organization. I heard what Paul said last night as well. My sources said that's not true. They said Harrison didn't have any clue about being traded. He scored 10 straight points.
Right.
They took him out of the game. And he was trying to figure out what was going on, and somebody came and told him that he was being traded. He didn't know he was getting traded.
Wow. What do you think of this, Scottie?
You know, he looked pretty surprised to me. I don't think he knew going into that game that he was going to be traded. And I think, too, as a player, if an organization tell me that I'm no longer going to be playing there and you're going to be traded, then I'm probably not going to want to play.
Really? Okay, I don't know. It's hard because, by the way, when the trade is agreed upon versus when the news leaks out, I mean, look, Woj has his finger on the button, so it's usually, within 30 seconds to an agreement being made. Somehow the radar goes off and the Woj back cave and he knows. But sometimes it's not when the deal is made, it's when it leaks, right? You can't kind of control all that.
You know, and it's unfortunate that it happened the way it did, but I'm going to go with Paul on this one. He's a pretty reliable source. And I think he was digging deep, working extra hard last night. And I'm sure it wasn't agreed upon before the game. Obviously, they wouldn't let him play, but there was probably an inkling that it could happen. So he probably had wind of the possibility. And then when they finally agreed to it, it probably happened during the game, and then they pulled him.